Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Dr. Herbert Harris, and this is Millionaire Mentorship call number 201. 201 calls we have done every Saturday morning. And our topic for today is laser focus. Now, I think each of us right now on what I like to call the recalculation phase. You know, we're at the mid part of the year, we're working on our goals, and that internal GPS inside of us says recalculating. And so as we begin to recalculate, the question arises, what is that one thing that can make the greatest difference in our progress? That one thing that makes the greatest difference in our lives, that can make it much more likely that we will achieve our goals. And that one thing is laser focus. Not just focus, but laser focus. One of the great ones, one of the great successes of our time, Bruce Lee. And Bruce had such an incredible quote. He said, let me find it, it was so beautiful. He basically said the difference between a regular warrior and a winner is focus. It's amazing what, and not just focus, but laser focus. The difference between a warrior and everybody else is laser focus. Now when we think about that, we have to look at what's the difference between laser focus and, you know, regular focus. I mean, focus is a good thing. We've been over focus before. We've talked about focus being that ability to see one thing. You know, we often say that the definition of focus is the center of attention or activity as a noun, and as a verb it means to pay particular attention to something. If we look at focus in that sense, and more from the verb sense, from the action sense, you know, one of our saying is, what you recognize, what you focus on, you energize. And what you energize, you realize. And so when we think along those lines, what you recognize, you energize, what you energize, you realize, then it becomes so clear that focus is absolutely important. But then what about laser? And what is a laser? Well, a laser is a device that produces a very narrow, highly concentrated beam of light. You know, we've seen the laser guns. With a laser, a person can send a beam of light up hundreds of feet into the air to the point that they can distract a pilot in an airplane. And even the word laser, what laser actually means from the scientific community, it means light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. L, light, A, amplification, by S, stimulated E, emission of radiation. And so, in other words, the laser beam is a beam that's so focused, but it's focused because of a vibration, because of radiation. And so if we think about this, then when we say laser focus, we are actually the device that creates the focus. You know, in other words, the laser is often referred to as the device that creates that very narrow, highly concentrated beam of light. On our success journey, we are that device. We know that whatever you focus on, your thoughts, your emotions, your activities, your events will follow. Where focus goes, power flows. I'll say that again. Where focus goes, power flows. If you focus on the problem, you'll get the problem. If you focus on the solution, though, you'll get a solution. If you focus beyond the solution, you get creativity, you get growth. And so laser focus means that we are the device that creates that narrow, highly concentrated beam of attention. Light is our attention on a particular object or task. If that is the case, then how do we create laser focus? Well, to create laser focus requires that internal vibration, which is caused by a combination of two things. Deep desire. You have to want it so badly enough that you are willing to give everything to achieve that goal, to achieve that objective. The other side of laser focus, though, is powerful expectation. And so the difference between regular focus and laser focus is that you have that deep desire working, you might say, on the push out, and then you have that power of expectation, intense expectation, absolute expectation pulling you ahead. And so when you are in an environment of laser focus, when you're functioning on the level of laser focus, then your desire is driving you towards your goal, and your power of expectation is pulling you. And it is this dynamic that creates a harmonic relationship. We say laser focus causes you to operate on such a high intensity of desire and expectation that you create a harmonic relationship between yourself and that which you're seeking. Now we often talk about the law of attraction. Well, this is, you might say, the law of attraction on steroids, because when you focus with that intensity and your expectation is so strong, you literally create a power relationship between you and that which you're seeking that is magnetic, that draws into your space everything you need, the people, the resources, the circumstances. There's a great saying, it says, expect a miracle. Well, in other words, what you expect is what you get. So when we look at that laser focus, when you focus on that which you're seeking, then you expect the results to manifest. It's called absolute faith. It's like gravity. You don't have to wonder if it works. It absolutely works. And this is just as powerful a law of the universe as gravity, as anything else. In fact, focus is more important than intelligence. And so if this is the case, then we're moving forward now, this year, doing the things that we want to do. Then one of our mid-course corrections might be to overcome that lack of focus, to put us back in focus. And I'm going to give some guidelines for overcoming lack of focus. And then we're going to talk about laser focus. Number one, how to overcome lack of focus. Realize you can only focus on one thing at a time. Focus is more a laser beam than a flashlight. Number two, you got to be in good health. You know, we often say, he who has health has hope, and he who has hope has everything. That's an Arabian proverb. He who has health has hope. He who has hope has everything. So if you're not in good health, your health or your illness can create distraction, which undermines your ability to focus. Number three, have clearly defined goals that are congruent. And congruent is more than consecutive. Congruent is really oneness, congruent with your vision and your life purpose. And so right now, at this point in our success journey, if you find that you're a little off track, then you may want to reevaluate your goals and see that they're all in alignment with your vision. Sometimes we can have goals that are not in alignment with our vision, and what it does is it diminishes our ability to focus and therefore we'll never be able to have laser focus. Number 4, have faith in yourself. You see, lack of faith and doubt completely puts you out of the focus ball game. If you don't have faith in yourself and your abilities, you cannot have focus. Focus requires faith. You cannot build focus on doubt. Number 5, to realize that all distractions are equal. I often say the better the distraction, the worse it is. And not only are they equal, they're equally counterproductive. And finally, number 6, to control your body, your instincts, and your emotions. So when we're at this point of recalculating, what of our instincts are undermining our efforts? What emotions are slowing us down? Are we attached to something that's not good for us? What habits are undermining our efforts? So those 6 keys to overcoming lack of focus, you must do first to put yourself in a position to look at laser focus. Now, when we start thinking about laser focus is something that happens in an active way. It's a daily, day-to-day activity. Now, focus is something that you don't, you don't think about, well, I'm going to focus on it next week, I'm going to do this next week. Focus is always operates in the now. And so what I'm going to share now is 10 steps that will help you create laser focus. And the perspective I'm taking is from an operational point of view. You will never achieve laser focus in theory. Laser focus can only be achieved in practice, in action. And so these 10 steps to create laser focus. Number 1, to know what actually matters. And everything we're talking is day to day, minute to minute, hour to hour, minute to minute, second to second. Know exactly what actually matters. Be honest with yourself about the actions that truly move the needle. That move the needle in your business, that move the needle in your life. You may want to evaluate the 80-20 rule. In other words, 80% of the results in your life come from 20% of the actions. The challenge that most of us have is we spend more time on the 80% of our actions that don't produce the maximum results. And so when we start looking on a day-to-day basis, that 80-20 rule, what are those 20%, what are those activities that give you the maximum bang for the buck? Sometimes we get stuck just thinking of tasks that we don't want to perform, tasks that we fear, And so if we're stuck right now in our focus and our efforts, look at some of those tasks that you fear the most, that create the greatest amount of anxiety. In business and network marketing, they say that the phone weighs 500 pounds. It's so heavy to pick up. Things that can result in rejection. Many times we procrastinate in doing things that can result in rejection to the point that the opportunity passes by, and so we never get rejected, but we never grow and move forward. So know exactly what matters, what's important. Number 2, once you write down that list of the things that are absolutely important to accomplish each day, pick your top 2 or 3 core tasks. Pick your top 2 or 3 core tasks. In other words, you want to look at the things that must happen no matter what. The things that must happen no matter what. Yesterday I was handling a challenge, a situation, and in my mind I had made it up to be more complex than it was. And so I was thinking, well, I'll write a letter to handle this. They need something in writing. Well, let me at least send an email. And I was thinking along those lines, and toward the end of the afternoon I picked up the phone and I made a call. And do you know that the call was sufficient? The call handled that challenge completely. But the person on the other end of the line said something very powerful. He said, Dr. Harris, it's a good thing you called today, because tomorrow this could not be done. Based on their system, the anomaly that I wanted them to correct could only be done that day. It could not be done the next day. Boy, can you imagine what the price I would have paid if I had let that anticipation of rejection stop me? It happens to all of us. So look at those top things that you got to get done no matter what. These things that if you say, if I do these 2 or 3 things, then my day is a success. No matter what else happens, this is a success. I got it done today. Stick to no more than 3. Even better, 2. And really 1. If there's one thing that's so important that if you get it done, you can kick back and say, this was a great, magnificent day, then I guarantee you those are those things that move you closer towards your big goals. I'm going to pick on some of us who live by the phone, checking emails, checking texts, checking things. Those things don't matter. It's like, what are those core things that move you toward your goal, your vision? Number 3, do them first. Do them first. As a writer, when I was writing the 12 Universal Laws of Success, I had set a timeline. I'd written books before, and I knew that I'm a person that operates with a schedule. And I said, I'm going to write this book in a year. I'm going to do all my research. I'm going to put it together in a year. And the other side of that was, every morning I'm going to get up and I'm going to write. So people often say, well, suppose you don't feel like writing that day. Suppose nothing comes to you. Well, I knew that in order to write, you have to be there. You have to be present. And so my commitment was from 9 to 12 to sit at that desk, to sit at that computer. If nothing came, I sit there with a blank sheet of paper, thinking, working. But I refused to let myself get up and walk away. And so that's the way we must handle this laser focus. In other words, once you've written those core things down, then you do them first. You get out of your bed, you get them out of the way first before anything else can happen. The longer you wait to do the important things, the greater the possibility for distractions to come in, intrude, and take away your joy and your possibility for success. So for those on our call today, what are the things that must be done today before everything else? I challenge you to write that down every morning, every night before you go to bed, to put down those 1, 2, and no more than 3 things that you must accomplish to move you closer to your goal. Number 4, don't connect to anything until your core tasks are done. That means, now this is a hard one, folks, don't connect to anything until those core tasks are done. We gotta change our mindset. Do you know that you don't have to check the internet, you don't have to check your email, you don't have to check your text when you first wake up in the morning? If you look back and evaluate the information that you get when you wake up and you start checking your texts and your emails first thing in the morning, before you do your core task, before you do those things that will move the line, that will move you closer to your goal, if you look back over them, none of them, 99% of them were not that important. They could have been, you could have looked at that text later on. We're going to talk about that. But don't connect to anything until your tasks are done. It dilutes your energy and it takes away your focus. So that when you roll out in the morning, when you get started your day, we often say tackle the most important things first. Those 20% of the activities that will get 80% of the results, do them before you connect to anything else. Number 5, stop multitasking. Think about this, folks. The foundation of focus is that you can only do one thing at one time. And so if you're multitasking, that means you're violating the law of focus. You're undermining your ability to create a harmonic relationship with that which you're trying to accomplish so that the universe rushes to help you. Stop thinking that it's efficient. I took a course once in time management, and the gist was you can't multitask. You can complete each task efficiently in a consecutive manner. In other words, complete task A, complete task B, complete task C. But this idea of multitasking, all it does is dilute our energies, dilute our attention. No surfing during phone calls, reading during meals, chatting while you're writing. I never could figure out how people could write and talk at the same time. Do one thing at a time, and then complete that and go to the next. Multitasking is terribly inefficient because it often stresses you out. The results of multitasking is you get to the end of the day and you look back and you never really got important things done. Number 6, turn off your email and your text notifications. In other words, anything that interrupts your flow, anything that interrupts your thinking and your actions, turn it off. Think about this. When you sit down to do something important, nothing else should get your attention. Just because someone decides to email you or to call you or to chat with you doesn't mean that it's important to you. It may be important to them. If you give your attention to an email or to a text in real time, then what you're really saying is whatever that text or email is about is more important than what you're doing right then. You know, the first law of time management is from moment to moment to ask yourself, what is the best use of my time right now when I consider my goals, my vision, and my purpose? And so when you let that ping, that ding, that dong interrupt you, you have literally given over your time to something else. If you look at most of the pings and dongs that come in, they're not worthy of your attention, nowhere worthy compared to that which you seek and that which you want to accomplish. And then don't even worry that they're doing it. You know, when I stop my phone from making noise, my phone only rings. I accept phone calls. But other than that, nothing. And that works well because so many people are now on this text thing, and they don't call, they text. Well, you will never get an immediate response from me. I had to do that because at one point I was like worried that I was going to miss something. So don't worry about that. Just do what must be done. Don't let these interruptions come in. Number 7, the way to handle that is to check your emails and texts at specific times during the day, 2 to 4 times during the day. I have set my phone now to, I'll check my text at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., 6 p.m., and 10 p.m. 10 a.m., 2 p.m., 6 p.m., and 10 p.m. I'm not checking it other than that. And so once you've done that, you've literally taken control of your time so that nothing interferes with that focus, that power to create laser focus that you don't do by choice. Number 8. Now this is going to sound weird. Do less in a day. When we fill our day with those 80% activities rather than the 20% activities, those 80% of the activities that don't get the results we're seeking, there's a tendency to feel frustrated about it because you get to the end of the day and first you haven't completed them all, and second, if you had completed them all, you still didn't get really any bang for the buck. And so don't fill every moment on your calendar with tasks. It only stresses you out. If you're getting at the end of the day and having too many things left, then take some of those things off. Go back to that evaluation and say, what is really important? What is the most important thing I must do these days? And then eliminate those other things. Number 9, give more time to each task. All of us are time bound, and we may set an hour to do something. Excuse me. If it takes an hour, okay, but it may be better to allocate 2 hours to that particular task, because this way it eliminates some of the stress of pushing it through, plus it puts you in a more relaxed state that you can pull more from the universe and the vibrations around you to get the task done maybe even quicker. But it takes a lot of that stress out of the phase. And when you block out the day in those 1 or 2 hour segments where you give yourself enough time to do the important things, the results will surely come. And then finally, number 10, to realize that life is a vibration. It's a harmonic vibration. And so you have times to work, times to rest. Each of us must find that time, that best cycle for us, when you can work real hard. You know, when you're working with laser focus, you can really only focus that way for sometimes 1 or 2 hours. Now, some people have done more. You know, there's stories of how Thomas Edison would, like, for 10 or 12 hours be totally focused on operating his inventions. So that's possible. That varies from person to person. But to recognize what your cycle is for focus, and then give yourself breaks. What I like to do, I'll work diligently on a task, and when I get to that completion, I'll stop, I'll walk away. I like to walk out. I'll walk around the block. I'll walk around the house. I'll have water. I may sit and do a quick meditation. But once you can do these 10 things, then you put yourself in a daily position to create laser focus. Laser focus is one of your most powerful activities. You notice I didn't say asset. It is an asset, but it is an activity. It is a moment-to-moment infusion of your energy, of your consciousness, into that which you're seeking to accomplish. It is the actual execution of your desire and your expectations on one accord. When you execute laser focus, you create a harmonic relationship with that which you're seeking. And that relationship, that vibration will attract the people, will attract the resources, will attract the events, will attract the circumstances, and anything else you need to get whatever you want, to accomplish your objectives. Laser focus is more powerful than knowledge. It's more powerful than experience. Laser focus will not be denied. George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars, said this: always remember, your focus creates your reality. With laser focus, you give yourself the greatest power, the greatest opportunity to create the reality that you're seeking to live, to experience, to enjoy, and to share with others. Let your focus be laser-like. Let your eye be single, and your life will be full of light, power, accomplishment, and desired results. And so it is.